I have the best job in the world. I do. I'm the team photographer for the Seattle Seahawks, and I get to combine two things that I love, photography and football, and I get to work with fabulous people. My first love actually is basketball, and I thought I was going to grow up and be the first Asian point guard in the NBA. And then I never grew up, and so, and my jump shot is shitty. So we want to talk about pictures, we want to talk about passion, we want to talk about how what we've chosen to do meshes with our life, how we can take our own motivations, our own wants, our own desires, and create a career that not only that we love, but is sustainable. This is where, for me, football and photography intersect, because at the Seattle Seahawks, under Coach Pete Carroll, the philosophy is it's all about the ball. When we are on defense, everything we do is designed to get the football back, which worked last year. This year, we only have like 5 turnovers. We're not really getting the ball back. So literally, it's about the ball. But when we're shooting sports, it's also about finding the ball at the peak moment. Finding the ball at the peak moment. Finding the ball at the peak moment. So once we've established that in sports photography, it's going to be all about the ball, okay? Right up until it's not all about the ball. So you learn your fundamentals, you learn more fundamentals, you start breaking the fundamental rules that you knew. The great thing about the Seahawks is we have a lot of fun too. So we have footballs, we have snowballs. Not very many players in the NFL would be hitting their coach with a snowball. But then again, not very many coaches would start the snowball fight to begin with. The second philosophy that we have at the Seahawks is always compete, and that's central to Pete Carroll's philosophy. Everything is about competition. There's nothing we do that's not about competing. If a drill's going on over here that he's bored with, he has a football, and the assistant coaches during stretching will all go grab footballs and they'll aim it for a garbage can 30 yards away. There is nothing we do that does not involve competition. Even for me, we have 2 team photographers. And everybody's like, how do you guys get along? I go, I want to beat his ass every day. I don't, like, that's my job. I want to be better. Okay, that's kind of nasty, right? I mean, we're not trying to put someone else out of a job. So you have to ask yourself, who am I competing with? If we are to move on, we have to remember, we're not competing with everybody else. Every day we compete with ourselves. Okay? You're competing with yourself. If you're a student in the academy, this workshop this weekend, and you go out to the football game or you go to the basketball game, you're trying to make your portfolio better. You're trying to make your game more solid. You're trying to get remotes into your comfort zone. Think about it more like track than tennis. Okay? Tennis, you're trying to beat the person on the other side of the net. In photography, I see photography more like track. You want a PR every week. Okay, it doesn't matter if I made a great picture at last week's game with the Raiders, I didn't, or the week before, I don't think I did, but the goal is this week I want to make a better picture. Everything's competing. Coach Carroll can't shoot baskets in our indoor practice facility without getting someone to play one-on-one with him. I mean, one day I was shooting this, it was for ESPN, we're doing a little story on him, and they said, what else does he do? And I said, well, he goes down and plays basketball. So I go down to photo, I just want to take pictures of the guy shooting some hoops. But I take pictures for 30 seconds and he goes, you're not gonna shoot? And I'm like, I really should do this. He goes, come on, let's shoot. So then I'm rebounding for him, and then I'm shooting, and then he's like, okay, you ready? And then we're playing horse, and then we're playing one-on-one. He's 62 years old. He's grabbing my shirt. He's knocking me down. And I was like, you know what? You need better competition than me. So we brought in a 30-year-old assistant, and there we go. If you think I'm kind of enamored with Pete Carroll, it's because he's my current boss. Raise your hand if you have a job right now. Raise your hand if you love your job right now. Okay. If you have a job right now, that's the best effing job you've ever had, and you love that job. You love that job, and that's what you say right up until the point where you get another job, okay? That's how it works in the real world. Like, you can't have your job and go home every night and go, my job sucks. And you can't get in your car or the bus every morning and go to work and say, my job sucks. That isn't that healthy for you. Like, you might as well just not do it. If you're not going to do it with enthusiasm, you might as well not do it at all. I'm a Washington Husky, okay? Yeah. Here's the thing. I went to the University of Washington. Pete Carroll's the coach at University of Southern California, okay? For those of you in the South or the East, like, Pac-12 football is like not even real to you, okay? It's like a Minolta camera. Yeah, I said it. Okay, you know, it's like, well, I know it's a camera, but like no one's serious about it. Like no one's serious about Pac-12 football. Well, you know, Washington hates USC. Then I worked for him. And then what I learned is, for better or for worse, Pete Carroll believes in everything he says. Now that might make him Don Quixote tilting at the windmill some days, but he actually believes it. And everybody who works for him and with him, it's infectious, and you learn to believe it. We have 3 team rules. One is protect the team. How does protect the team apply to photography? You figure out who your team is. Your team, if you're a single business person, is you. It's your gear. It's your client. It's your assignment. If you have a family, and it's so easy to get distracted, right? Mike Corrado talked about this. You know, I was shooting the birds and the light was awesome. I said I'd be home for dinner at 6, you know, and Mike has learned, you know, to communicate with his wife so that, and he communicates with his wife about that because they're on the same team, and he has to protect the team. So your interpersonal relationships through your life. So you might have photography as an avocation right now while you're working at Forever 21 or Subway or whatever, doesn't matter, okay? But understand, you have to protect all the things that are on your team, and only you can decide who's on your team. But if you're married and you just fell in love with photography and you want to spend, you know, $8,000 on a new lens and $6,000 on a new camera, you know, you have to take all those things into account. Protect your team. Everything we do is about protecting our team, whether it's stuff you overhear or things you see. If it doesn't protect the team, it doesn't go out. Your team also includes everybody that you meet, all the people you'll meet this week, because we're going to be out shooting at these events. For those of you that are in the academy this week, we're going to be at gyms, we're going to be at football fields. You're going to look out for one another, you're going to help one another. You're going to offer advice. You're not going to tell someone you think they're shooting it wrong if you don't really know what they're shooting, but someone's going to go, hey, I got to run back to my car. Will you watch my gear? Yes, I'll watch your gear. All those things come into being part of protecting your team. Coach Carroll's very hands-on with everybody. All right. I promised I wouldn't show topless pictures, but I had to. These guys would love that I'm showing this in front of a group of people. This is our video team. And you're wondering, why are they posing like that after the NFC Championship game when we're going to the Super Bowl? It's because they are mimicking that. And when you look at the bellies of the defensive linemen, I'm not sure any of that's very pleasant to look at. All right, second rule, be early. Be early doesn't necessarily just mean in a literal sense, right? Like, doesn't necessarily mean like, if we're going to an event, let's be early. Because if you're early, you have time to F up. At least that's how I look at it, okay? And I took it to the extreme this week. I showed up for a shoot at SeaTac Airport. It was for 10 o'clock on Friday. And I got there at 9:30, so I had plenty of time. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out which gate this is, who my contact is to get through security, because we're going to do this photo shoot. And I was reading the email. I'm parked in the parking garage, and I was early. I was a week early. So don't be that early, okay? But being early also means of every aspect of your photography. It means if you're going to do remotes, and you have brought pocket wizards with you, like, did you check the batteries? Tomorrow, when you're doing remotes, or you take you had a remote class, check all that stuff. Before you go out to to the game, check your settings. How many people, and I'm not going to ask for hands, but I know all the pros here have done this. In fact, I had a pro today not have a CF card in his camera when he wanted to shoot something. It's like you have to be prepared. Part of being prepared is you can include under the heading of be early. These are all pictures from our road trips. So the next rule is probably the most apropos. That's a fancy word. I used to be an English teacher before I fell headfirst into the world of photography. So photographers are the whiniest, complainingest bunch of creatures in the world. Let's just all admit it, right? Like, our camera's not nice enough, my lens isn't fast enough, my lens isn't long enough, the light sucks, the food sucks, the parking sucks, my credential wasn't ready, the photo editor at the Daily makes me shoot cross country every week. It's like, all we do is complain. We're miserable, okay? So no whining, no complaining. Suck it up, okay? Our quarterback, Russell Wilson, has been knocked on his ass so many times this year. We had 4 linemen in the game out of 5 in our game against Oakland who were all second or third stringers. The center, and I've been with the team since minicamp. I've shot every practice since May. I didn't know who 65 was. He was like a 4th stringer we just signed. Russell Wilson's getting his ass knocked. And in the post-game press conference, I said, what do you think about your performance? And he's like, I had a bad game. I can't explain it. It just didn't happen for me. He never throws anybody under the bus. He doesn't complain. He doesn't say, oh, I thought I reached over the end zone for a touchdown, but the ref said I fumbled. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lost. No mentioning names. Colin Kaepernick. I shouldn't make fun of them. They're 4-4.